Hey everyone, are you struggling to keep yourself from breaking your PS5 controller from this damn setup minigame? Well, I got a guide for you. I'm gonna give you some like tips and tricks on how I ended up completing this thing because holy crap, this minigame is probably the hardest minigame in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think it's even harder than the pull-up game in Remake. I remember being on that one for for an hour or so. This one I was on it for a couple hours. It's an absolute pain in the ass. So I kind of just wanted to give a little guide, some tips and tricks, some things that I did to kind of help me complete it. And I didn't do it, and it didn't take me very long. I think it probably took me about 20 minutes to a half hour. So hopefully my little tips and tricks can help you out. So let's get into it. So one of the first things I made sure was to put it on performance mode because I feel like the 60 frames actually helped a lot. So that's optional. That's not really like required in order to do it, but 60 frames totally helped. And so these tips will also work for the dude in yellow, the guy in challenge number 2. So it's not just for Jules. This will work for any of the sit-up mini games, to be honest. And then also another thing, the big thing. Here's the big options that I felt helped me a lot. So there's this thing. I turn off motion sensor. That's something completely unrelated. I didn't really care about that. The option that we're looking for is the trigger effect function here. So it eases up the tension on your on your trigger buttons, your L2 and R2 button. So I just turned that all the way off, because you know how like the DualSense has like the tension on it when you're playing certain games. You know, to make it feel like, oh yeah, you're getting tension on the trigger. You know, when you're playing like an FPS or something like that. But in my opinion, I think it actually harmed it more than it actually helped. And there's one particular button that I absolutely hated, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So I'll just go over a little bit of some tips and tricks that really helped. Obviously, Tifa's outfit really helped with this as well. No, it didn't. Completely optional. I just wanted to point out that like, oh lordy, she looking good. But so one of the main things is when you're going up against Jules, you cannot make a mistake at all. So you have to go a minute and 30 seconds of pure, unerrorable, basically no mistakes made at all. If you make even one mistake, you might as well just retry. Okay? So Jules is going to mess up twice during this whole thing. He's going to mess up really quickly. Sometimes he's messed up on like one setup and then he'd screw it up. Sometimes he'd go to like 6 and then he'd screw up. And then the next one he's going to screw up at is at 49. Yes, he's going to go all the way to like at least 52, I think. He's going to hit at least 50 to 52. So what you're going to want, or I think 51, I think might be his highest. So you're going to either want 51 in case he goes to 50 or 52. 52 sit-ups. That's a lot, considering that you cannot mess up at all. Okay? So, and the pattern is a little bit weird. It's going to change on you. You see how it's like the little diamond shape, or not diamond shape, it's like a little hourglass shape or something like that. You'll start from like, you can either start from L1, go R1, L2, R2, or you can go R1, L1, R2, L2. It's so weird, okay? And then obviously how the screen disappears, you know, I don't really need to explain all that much. You've probably already done this. If you're watching this guide, then yes, I'll shut up now. So one of the things that really helped me was I didn't watch the button prompts at all. I tried to ignore those. I wanted to watch Tifa the entire time. So, the way that I kind of did it was that like, the biggest thing is not to go fast. You want to make sure that you're not you're not screwing yourself up. So go as slow as you possibly can without like losing it. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of like little subtle hints in the way the character moves that will kind of give it away, is that's when you need to push the button. You've probably seen it where like she's moving and then like the character will like suddenly stop. You know, it's almost like they're, you know, they're like robotic in their movements. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I'm pretty sure there's a word for it, but I'm not thinking of it. And you can see it too. You can see it right here where you can see Tifa kind of stop like when she's moving. That's when I knew to press a button. Like I would kind of watch for that and just be like, all right, she stopped, press the button, stop, press the button, you know what I mean? But you'd obviously be going a little bit faster because you'll see that it goes quicker. That's kind of that's a hard thing to explain, so I hope this helps. Like, just watch Tifa, and I think like once you've watched it enough, you'll be able to kind of discern. I think it just take a little bit of practice. Like even if you don't get it the first try, just keep doing it, and like eventually you'll kind of understand. Like once you've watched it enough, you'll kind of understand the pattern, and you'll be like, oh, okay, this is when I need to push the button, and you'll start to get much better at it. And another thing you don't want to do is don't look at the counter. Do not look at the counter at all. If you find yourself, you're like, where am I at? Where am I at? Don't do it, because it's like if you take your eyes off of Tifa for like a moment, I feel like it just ruins your rhythm. So it's like one of those things where you just want to stare at her at all, like just stare at Tifa. I mean, for a lot of people, that's not hard to do. So, great tip. And another thing, this is kind of an optional one. You can turn off the sounds or whatever, turn down the music or whatnot if you feel like that's too distracting with everybody talking, you know, and all that stuff. So that's also another thing that you could do as well. That's totally optional. Do whatever you can to block out, get yourself focused and stuff. That's one of the things. That's the biggest thing, is just to stay focused. And then the other thing is to don't rush it. Don't worry about speed. Just worrying about keeping your rhythm and keeping yourself from messing up, because Jules is going to get ahead of you. Okay, so like if you're worried about trying to stay ahead of him the whole time, you're probably going to mess yourself up. So like what you want to do is you just want to keep yourself steady. If you're going at a steady pace, then when he messes up at 49, you're going to be able to catch up. Because that's what happened to me. When I'll show my completion when I actually beat it. So you'll see that like I was behind and then I caught up, but I wasn't that far behind. That's why I'm saying like if you mess up, just retry, because he's gonna get way ahead of you. Because like when he hits like 20, he goes hyperspeed and he starts. And if you start messing up at like 15 sit-ups, then he's gonna get ahead of you by like 15 to almost 20 by the time Tifa almost gets back up to even start back up. So it's like, yeah, it's that's why it's like don't even bother. Like you could probably screw up at the beginning, like with Jules. I maybe that could be your margin of error there, but like if you start hitting 10 plus, yeah, just retry. Anyways, so I wanted to talk about the specific reason why I did the trigger effect. Okay, so as you noticed when if you're watching the gameplay, that like when you hit like 4 or 5 sit-ups, you're gonna see like this button pop up, and it's gonna be one of two. There's gonna be a yellow one where if you get that, you just want to mash the button and then mash whatever button it is. It's either gonna be L2 or R2. That's what it's always gonna be. It's never gonna be L1 or R1, which kind of sucks. That's why I said turn the trigger effect off, because one of them screwed me up so many times. And also another reason why I did it is that like for some reason, like when I would press the trigger buttons, like it wouldn't read the input because I pressed it too soft. So you always want to make sure you're hitting that button pretty hard, the L2 and R2 buttons, because those are going to screw you up the most, in my opinion. The DualSense controller sucks. I don't like the PS5 controller. This thing really made me hate it. This minigame really made me hate the controller, because before I was like, yeah, it's fine, but now I really hated it after this minigame. Anyways, so with the trigger effect, it's gonna make it so you're not getting any like real like tension on it. So I talked about like how one of the buttons is a yellow circle where you just mash the button. The second one's gonna be a green one where this is one where you're gonna want to press it like half. Okay, so you press and hold it for half. It's gonna fill up the thing, and then you press the same button again, and you'll be able to move on. So that button is the one that screwed me up the most, because it was almost like there was no margin for error on it. If you pushed it even more than halfway, you were failing. If you didn't push it enough, you were failing. So it's like, so one of the tips that I would do is just like, this is where you're going to want to like lightly press it. So that's always what you're going to want to do. Just make sure you're lightly pressing it, and just practice it. Practice like your timing for it, or like where your sweet spot is, and you'll get it. And it shouldn't be that big of a problem, at least with the trigger effect off, because the trigger effect was supposed to help you with it. that was kind of one of the things, like, the trigger effect did, was the green button was, like, it made it easier to figure out, like, where to stop, because the button would tense up where you were supposed to go, you know? So, that's one of the things that the trigger effect is going to go against, but either way, I just didn't want any of my inputs being eaten, basically, while I was doing it normally. So I said, I'll sacrifice that in order to be able to complete it, you know what I mean? So yeah, like I said, don't look at the counter, just look at Tifa the entire time. Try not to stare at the button prompts, or if yeah, you know, the button prompts when they pop up. Yeah, you do kind of need to see what it is, but glance up at it, and yeah, it's just like, I don't know, it's really hard, because all I could say is just like keep at it. You know, keep at it. Do not get discouraged. This minigame is hard. It is hard. So if you're failing, just know everybody's failing it too. Everybody is probably failing this minigame. It's a pain in the ass, considering that, like, you have to go a whole a minute and a half without messing up, not once. You know, and it's rough. It's very rough. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. Why I wanted to do this guide, and hopefully, like, it helps. Like, just some little things that I did to help that helped me get through it. Because yeah, when I was getting distracted by all this other stuff, it was tough. I even stopped. This is like my second time coming back to it, because I attempted it the first time because I was like, oh hell yeah, dude, the sit-up game. I was like, hell yeah, dude, let's play that, you know, like that was fun and interesting, you know. And I remember being on it for a bit, you know. And this one was tough too, but yeah. So yeah, like, just don't look at the counter. Watch Tifa. Just get your rhythm down, kind of thing, because it's gonna start slow and then it's gonna speed up as you keep going. I think once you hit 10, it speeds up. Yeah, just get your rhythm. If you just focus, you're locked in. Just don't, like, you know, turn off anything that's gonna distract you, and you should be able to do it. I'm just saying, just keep at it, really. So yeah, so I'll let my completion play out, and you can kind of see, like, you can kind of just watch and stuff, if that helps. If you're like a visual learner, maybe you can kind of watch it and be like, oh yeah, I can totally do this. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this guide helps. You can leave a comment down, tell me if you succeeded, or you can complain about how much you hate this minigame, because I'll totally agree with you. This minigame was a pain in the ass. But alright, yeah. Hope you guys enjoy. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth videos. Peace.
Right form!
Yeah, keep it up! Show off.
You're crushing it!
Just like that!
Yeah, keep it up!
Where'd that come from? Yeah, keep it up!
Right form!
Incredible form! It's almost like your muscles are singing! Don't you ever get sore?
You're crushing it!
You're killing it! Incredible form! I can't get enough of those beautiful muscles!
Right form!
It's almost like your muscles are singing!
Yeah, keep it up!
Show off! Yeah, keep it up!
Right form!
Where'd that come from? Just like that! Don't you ever get sore?
You're crushing it!
Incredible form!
Just getting those games.
I admit defeat. Hard to compete against an athlete like you.